where do you sit with the Trent saga? It's coming to an end. He's going to go on a free. One of their own.
Yes. But look, just because you were born in Liverpool doesn't mean you have to die in Liverpool. Like, if you relate this to real life, if your son, daughter said, I want to move country, experience something different, you're not gonna say no. Do you know what I mean? You might be annoyed that they're leaving the city or leaving the home, but you got to let them go out there and explore the world. Trent's accomplished everything he needs to accomplish at Liverpool. I don't blame him not getting a fee for himself on him. It's FSG's responsibility to put a cut-off point and say, if you don't sign a deal, because you got to suss it out. You got to sense the danger. You got to scan. If your player is telling you, sweet nothings, I'm going to be the captain, I'm going to be a legend, and you choose to believe that, that's your business. By the end of the day, he can change his mind like any human can. And it's up to you to put a cut-off point and say, 2 years to go, you sign or you leave. And if you don't, make a decision, we will put you in the reserves or whatever. It seems harsh, and Chelsea have been criticised for this before with what we've done with players, but that's how you guarantee getting your money. You don't just let them kind of maybe rinse you, even though they didn't pay for him. That's the thing. They didn't pay for him. I think for an academy graduate, he's more than fulfilled his expectations. He's overachieved. And I think, look, it's not for me to decide, but I think he's still a Liverpool legend. He's not going to a direct rival. This is not Carlos Tevez. This is not Luis Figo. This is not even Van Persie. We were talking before about him going to Man United. I know you said it's cool because you understood it, but you're still going to a direct competitor. He's going out of the country. Don't tell me because they beat you in a couple of Champions League finals you can't understand his wishes and his claims to want to be. And he said he wanted to win the Ballon d'Or. So what did you expect? You kind of understood from that point what his internal kind of thinking was. So I said this from last September. I told AGT your sources are incorrect. He kept telling me, no, it's going to get signed. And if this was in isolation and it was just Trent that hadn't had his contract sorted, fine, maybe I'd understand it. But when you've got 3 spine key players all running out of contracts at the same time and you're not holding it account to FSG, be lucky, be very thankful that Salah and Van Dijk are not younger and don't have maybe PSGs or Barcelona's knocking at their door, because if they did, best believe they could leave too, and they might still, and then you'd really be looking at FSG crazy. So you're kind of fortunate in a way that these two are maybe more loyal than they need to be. So there's a lot going on there.
That's the thing. We're assuming that Virgil and Salah are staying. I mean, the window's not open. We don't know. Salah could decide he wants to go to Saudi, or I don't think Virgil would go, but I mean, or even Salah. But at the same time, that door is still open. It is really fundamentally down to FSG and the failings from them, isn't it? That all 3 of those players have been left in this situation.
Absolutely it is. And it's interesting you, Matisse, used that analogy about a loved one going abroad. I'm actually in that situation with my son. He's moving out to Dubai indefinitely. Tomorrow, I'm actually going with him to the airport. So shout out to Darryl.
I get the pull.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Matisse. And listen, we said it off camera. It happens to all the big clubs, or every club pretty much, big or small. And my thing is, the only constant are the fans. Yeah, players, managers, even backroom staff, they will leave. It's a career for them. It's how they put money on the table. They have to put their interest first and foremost. I know that doesn't always sit well with the fans, but it's facts. Now, Trent, he's going to move to Real Madrid. It's a fantastic opportunity for him, spread his wings, learn a new culture, play with one of the best teams in the world. He's going to win things, obviously. You can't blame him for that. Okay, yes, I know about he's Liverpool born and bred, come up through the academy system. He's leaving on a free. They're not going to get the money for him. But stuff happens. Like you said, Matisse, the real issue should have been those guys in the boardroom. When his contract was running down, they should have sorted something out. And even then, he might not have stayed. So it is what it is.
Well, look, he's 26 years old. He's won everything that is to win. I feel like at this point, how can you begrudge him that move? We were talking about it before we started the show about Harry Kane. Slightly different because he hadn't won anything. But you can't begrudge someone of that talent and of that level, who has been an amazing servant, who you didn't pay any money for, who's come up through the club, who is Liverpool through and through, wanting to then have a new challenge. Like he has done everything he could possibly do at Liverpool. He would be staying there to try and replicate that. But why shouldn't he have a new challenge if he wants it?
It depends on the individual character. Like a lot of people saying he could have maybe he could have broke Jamie Carragher's appearance record. He could have become Liverpool's one of their biggest legends. But that is only relevant if that's what he wants. Just because you want it as a Liverpool fan doesn't mean you can put that on another person and say that must be your dream as well. And for me, when people even talk about, oh, he could have signed a new deal with a release clause, who told you that money was going into your transfer key? FSG are not the most, splashy, cashy kind of ownership. They're not necessarily like, it's a hope. It's a bit of a cope that the money's just directly going to go into the team. They've shown that they can be a little bit, sometimes strategic, sometimes it's negligence or it's neglect or whatever with that squad. They don't always, throw the money back in. It's dependent on things. So I don't know. I just don't know how anybody could think that he's going to think of making Liverpool money instead of putting that money in his household and giving his family generational wealth or whatever it is. I don't think that's what 99% of the people would do if it was up to them in their own personal situation. So, yeah, I don't know why he needs to be some sort of superhuman and think about Liverpool's transfer budget.
Do you think that this tarnishes his legacy at Liverpool? I
don't think it. Look, first couple of weeks, yeah, I get people are angry, but when the dust settles and you win the Prem and you and you look back on his Liverpool career and the amount he's brought to that team, the free kicks, the people are saying the corner wasn't even taken that quickly. Like it was, it was. The corner was taken. The corner was taken quickly. When you look back at his career and you realize what he's achieved and how much he's done for that club, and you've propped him to a level of high heights, best right back we've ever seen or whatever. You can't just start stripping that all away when you feel like it. So look, right now everybody's angry, but I think when the season actually comes to an end, they would have got over it. And it's a right back. Like he is brilliant, but he's not irreplaceable. You've lost bigger players before. You've lost Suarez. Man United have lost Ronaldo. We've lost Hazard. Like I think forwards are more difficult to replace personally. You can get a full. You could even go and get Ola Aina for free from Nottingham Forest.
Last season they were very much talking about Conor Bradley. They were like, it's okay if Trent goes because we've got Conor Bradley. It's funny, isn't it? Because I get the anger to an extent, but then I also don't get it. And he's been slated a lot by the Liverpool fans, and they called out Zubimendi for not leaving his boyhood
This
club.
is it. When Van Dijk was leaving Southampton, and all of those issues there, but the football food chain works for you when you're above the club that you're taking from, and when you're below, you get butthurt. That's what it is. But you have to understand Real Madrid are at the top of the football food chain. No one has to like it, but it's the facts. And I've even seen like people say, "Oh, well, he's leaving us when we're the best." Okay, would you rather him leave you when you were seventh? With like if he was in the days of Paul Konchesky and Stuart Downing, would you rather he leave then, or would you more understand it? I don't know. Like it feels like they can't win, because if you leave in bad time, it's like, oh, you jump ship when we were on our last legs. And if you leave when it's good and you actually are in a great position to replace, or you're at your highest position to sign at someone of equal excellence, it's like, oh, you should have stayed. It's like you just want him to stay here for his whole life, basically.
Do you think that it's because of the Scouse aspect of it, that if this was Salah that was going or Virgil that was going, there wouldn't be as much hate?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Inevitably, because he was born in Liverpool, born and bred, like I said, came up through the systems, there is going to be that level of hurt that he's leaving you for another club. But listen, I'd like to think that in time, initially there is going to be a lot of upset, but I would have thought in time fans will grow to understand that the man is pursuing his career dream. He's not doing it for money, because apparently he's not going to be on, in terms of the salaries being paid by Real Madrid, he's not on like the mega
top
money.
earner.
Yeah, so clearly he wants to pursue a different career path. Like I said, going to a new country, new culture, learning a new language, playing with different players, different systems, as another manager. You can't fault him, man. At the end of the day, I'd like to think he would remain a legend because, he is a legend of the club. And, as Matisse quite rightly pointed out, he's going to be leaving them
On a high.
On the high, off the back of a Premier League.